at an undisclosed spot in South Cackalack today. But we living and loving and enjoying life. We got music coming, we got wine coming, and Langston lifestyle coming. So just stay tuned and get prepared for the coming of Langston, adult contemporary head nod music for sure.
Wanja. I'm from Berlin, Germany. I run the hip hop blog hastalover.de. I also run a promotion agency by the same name. I just launched a clothing line for female hip hop heads. I also do a monthly podcast and a few other things here and there in hip hop. What really moves me about being able to do what I do is that over the years I established quite a big following, and I know that that gives me the chance of having a positive impact on a lot of people. And that's really, like at this point, that's my number one thing, is giving the people something positive through hip hop. And just being able to put people onto new music, and then also picking artists who, one, try to do something positive, but also just have a lot of talent, and I know like I have the power to help them get somewhere. That really does something for me, because I know, there's somebody who has this passion and love for hip hop, and I can help them get heard, and that really means a lot to me. And I can't ever see myself stopping what I'm doing. I might go into a slightly different direction with my work, but I can't see myself ever stopping my work in hip hop, because I never wanted to do anything else. I always had this dream of spending every day, all day with hip hop, and I made that true, and there's no way I'm gonna let go of that ever. The blogging came first. Like, the blogging came before my business, and I started blogging back in MySpace days. Like, I had this MySpace blog. Like, the people who were on MySpace, they will remember you had this blog. And I had a few followers on there. Tyler Quali followed me at some point, and that like made my whole life. I was like, oh my god. And I don't know, blogging was, like I was saying in the previous question, it was an outlet. And when I decided to quit my day job, because I was working a day job for 5 years, and at some point I was like, I gotta stop, I gotta follow my dream. And so I quit, and at that point I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to make money, because up until that point I had already worked in hip-hop for many years, but only doing stuff like journalism or mixtapes, podcasts. I never made any money off of it. But I was like, I'm going to do it. And then I remember my last day of work was the day before Christmas, and then on January 1st I launched my website. So I have blogged before, but not on my official blog. So I launched my website, and I started blogging there. And it was just, for me, like, it was nice being able to have my space to talk about hip hop and share hip hop that I love with people. And then the promotion came into play, because at the time I was managing a group from Detroit. And so, because of all the years that I worked in hip hop before, I accumulated a lot of contacts, like blogger contacts, and also other artists, DJs, fans who had, supported my mixtapes before. And so I had quite a big contact list. And for the group that I was managing from Detroit, I would send their music to my contact list, and they got a lot of coverage from that. So at some point, I would say 2 months into me trying to figure out how I was gonna survive, it clicked, and I was like, you know what, I could offer this as a service to other artists, because I can get them out there. And at the time, I just was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, I realized that at the time when I started doing this, there were very few online promotion agencies. Like nowadays, you have them like coming out of the woodworks, like everywhere. But back then, I knew of one. And so it wasn't a common thing, but I was like, I'm gonna start doing this. And since I had a lot of contacts to artists from the years before, I quite quickly had my first client, and then it was just word of mouth. And it worked. Like I didn't really know much about promotion, like I didn't learn it anywhere, it just came natural. And it worked out well, and now I've been in business, I think for like 8 years now, and it's just grown bigger and bigger, and now I survive off of it. It's beautiful. I first fell in love with hip hop, with hip hop music. There was a song I would hear on the radio when I was a little girl. I think I was like 6 or 7 years old. It was this group from the UK, and they are called Us Five, and they had this track called Cantaloupe. It's very jazzy. And I heard that on the radio, I just fell in love with it. And I recorded it on tape, like on my parents' stereo. And I remember I looked for that song for so many years because I never knew the title. I finally found it like 5 years ago. And that was when I don't know, something about that music really moved me. And when I was 9 years old, I stole a tape from my brother. And it was the debut album of this German rap group. And it was really like, you know, a lot of people at the time didn't consider them real hip hop because they were like the first commercially successful hip hop group in Germany. But I was a kid, I was 9 years old. And I listened to that tape so much, I knew all the lyrics. I knew all the explicit stuff. I had no idea what they were saying, but I was like, yeah. And that was when I fell in love with the music, but I didn't find out about the culture and the elements behind it until I was like 15. And I got introduced to the culture through graffiti because I would go to this store, this like urban clothing store in Germany, and they had this free hip hop magazine, and they had pages and pages of graffiti in the center, and I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is such an amazing art, and I started doing graffiti back then, and it was like, it gave me a creative outlet that I didn't have at the time. And then I started rapping at some point, like I started writing lyrics, and then people would tell me, yo, you gotta start rapping. I had a producer that was going to school with me, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna make you some beats, we're gonna start doing this. So I started rapping and going to hip hop jams. Like back then it was really about celebrating the culture at that time, and it was real heavy at that time in Germany. And I really just fell in love with how hip-hop gives everyone, no matter what your talent is, hip-hop gives you a creative outlet, like a way of expressing yourself without wanting anything back. I feel like hip-hop just wants your energy to be channeled into something, and you get so much back from it. And that's why I'm still in love with hip-hop, because it still does that. Like I said, I just launched this clothing line, which I'm very happy and excited about because I wanted to focus on female hip-hop heads because I feel like as far as merch goes, we are very neglected in hip-hop. Like, we always gotta wear the men's shirts, they don't fit right, they don't look right on us. Or if there's female merch, it's like tank tops. We don't want to wear tank tops all the time, like, no. And it's usually made by men, and men don't know what to look for. So it was really important for me to also to do some stuff that is about female empowerment and showing the place that there's a place for women in hip hop, and we are very important to it. Like, we bring the balance to hip hop, and there's so many women that I know that are running shit in the background, and you'll never know about them. And so I think that I would like to further explore women empowerment in hip hop. That's something that's very important to me and that I'm very passionate about. And other than that, I don't know. I like to go with the flow. Like, I don't really live with a 5-year plan at all. I just like to see what inspires me to keep going and what feels right in that moment, and then I'll do it. I want to keep bringing good music to the airwaves, and it's important to me to open people up to different kinds of hip hop and to eliminate that thought that there's no dope hip hop being made these days, because there's tons. And I think that's what I will always be doing, is to keep hip hop alive, you know, to contribute to that.
This is just us league, cause it's just us in the league. Light years ahead of the rest, they've all fatigued. Lower state champs with the authors of intrigue. Rap signature like the tactics of blitzkrieg. Lightning war, you touch mics no more. Curse you and your little swag crew to the core. This is more than fundamentals flowing over instrumentals. More than the night in the county for street credentials. More than your tweets or your Facebook feuds. And I don't really with them tight pants dudes. This that grown man rapping, sound like gun clapping. It's slapping like, what the fuck just happened?
Now that's Langston.